Hello, everyone who's joining. Nancy and Susie, hello, welcome. Hi, Joyce. So good to see you guys. If you can hear me, I want everyone to go over to the chat button. Hi, Petra. And then the chat on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, there is a chat button. If you click on that and just say hello, so I know you can hear me okay. Joyce, Petra, Patty. Hi, Patty. Hi, Joyce. Oh my goodness. It was one of those wild and crazy mornings getting my kids out the door. They both had an energy healing appointment. And their dad just picked them up 30 seconds ago, just in the nick of time. Okay, I'm just gonna give everyone another, oh good, Joyce, you said hello. Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Fabulous, okay. I am going to share with you all, and I need to remember to start every call with this, but and this is a little bit different than most coaching calls. So most coaching calls that happen, if they are conducted by me, which is typically every other week, they are a Q&A session. So it's all about you guys showing up with any questions you have, and it can be from food swaps to you're feeling stuck. Oh my gosh, Petra, you are glowing. Sorry, I just had to say that. You look amazing. So sorry, I get distracted sometimes. Squirrel, beautiful Petra. So what I was saying is the Q&A calls that I conduct, again, typically every other week. It's twice a month. There's a couple times I'm back to back or I'm 2 weeks apart depending on my schedule. But it's all about you guys showing up and saying what's going on with you. Things are really easy. We can celebrate your wins, or you're feeling really stuck, or you want some food swaps, or you're not understanding what's causing inflammation, or you want to know about macros, or like we get really individualized with you during those calls. It allows me to get to know you as best as possible, so that our conversations in the Facebook group are also more targeted to supporting you. And then, okay, so I'm now going to mute everyone. Muting yourself too, if you can see how to do that, just so that there's not a bunch of background noise. Susie is here and Irene is here. Hello. Miss Nancy, I'm not sure how to, oh yeah, Nancy's always double. She's always playing double on us. Excuse me. The following, on the opposite weeks, when I'm not doing my coaching call, Lindsay Marshall, who is the other coach in this group, she trained with me. You guys are, I don't know, actually, I know one other person who was trained the way that I was trained and is still practicing in a similar method that I practice. So there's not very many people that address this way of anti-inflammatory eating, of healing through the body, without feeling deprived, right? And really figuring out how to streamline, how to make things as simple as possible. And I think partly that's due because when I had a massive chronic illness, I was bedridden for years. I had to figure out how to maintain this, but also having 2 young kids and working full time, I'm sure some of you can relate. It's like, holy cow, right? You just need to keep things super simple. And so Lindsay Marshall is also a mom of 2 little boys. She is getting her 2nd degree in psychology, and she's trained the same way I am. She's also really into the exercise and movement. She's a certified ACE personal trainer. So she will be coming on, and the weeks that I don't think I even advertise that. You guys probably don't even know. You're getting a little bonus like exercise movement coaching. The week she comes on, you still show up for the Q&A, but she's going to do a little coaching session at the beginning of each call. that body, lower body, and all of that. If you go to the announcements post at the top of the Facebook group, all of our coaching calls, our guest presenters, everything is written out there. So I recommend going there and putting them in your calendar. If for any reason something has to change, we'll make a big post on our Facebook wall. But for the most part, those should all be in stone. And actually this Wednesday, I believe, is it this Wednesday? We have our first guest presenter. Yes, Jen Gottlieb, who is the most incredible mindset coach. And she helps people. Her stories of manifesting are unreal. She also was a health coach for a long time, but she's moved really into mindset. And she is going to talk to us about manifesting health, wealth, and relationships, which sounds kind of like generic, but the truth is that if those are out of whack, if we're experiencing stress from any of those, that causes inflammation in the body. And so while our work is probably 60 to 70% looking at foods and swaps and anti-inflammatory living, the basics of what is required to create a lifestyle where you can follow this way of eating without feeling deprived or overwhelmed, we also do work on mindset and beliefs. And you guys who have been with me for a while, who are in the 6-month continuation program, you all know that mindset is a big aspect of healing as well. So we will be covering the whole gamut. I'm so excited. I love seeing all the new faces and the not old faces, the beautiful continuing faces. And so today's course is kind of just a welcome. I want to tell you how you can best make the most out of the next 9 weeks that we are together. And also share a little bit about my story in healing. Some of you know it, some of you don't. And then last, take any questions that you may have. Nancy says, could you please clarify what you mean by mindset? I'm seeing this term a lot lately. Yeah, Nancy, thank you. So mindset for me, and I'm sure there's a lot of mindfulness, mindset, belief systems, right? There's limiting beliefs. All of these terms for me are very similar. And there's kind of a lot of lingo and a lot of, it's kind of like the word inflammation. There's a lot of hype around mindset and mindfulness these days. And actually, Nancy, I'm going to get to answer the depth of this question when I share my story about my own personal healing. But basically, mindset can be the simplicity of seeing where where we have resistance sometimes in creating changes, or our mind is really interesting, you guys. We will often come up with amazing, legitimate excuses, rationalizations, reasons not to do things that we know are really good for us. I mean, we all do it. It's just human instinct. And so for me, mindfulness, mindset, awareness, it's being able to practice observing what our mind is doing, seeing what's happening, and then making a conscious choice to think something differently if indeed that supports our healing. So I will give you an example more in depth here in a minute of a profound experience I had around that and how that really catapulted my healing forward. Another example, Nancy, because I know you've been in the group for a while, Katie Salisbury and I have worked quite a bit on mindset. Katie is another person in this group who also has chronic Lyme and has improved so much during this program, but her biggest shift happened. It was like the initial shift happened through diet, yes, but then the next huge shift that took place was when we were on a one-on-one call and I helped her see the subconscious thought. She was afraid to heal fully because then her kids would never think something was wrong with her. Lyme is a funny condition, and any symptom, people are like, you making stuff up. I don't think you're that sick, or whatever it may be. And she was like subconsciously kind of wanting to make sure she wanted her kids to believe her, right? Like any of us would. And so as soon as she saw that, she was able to make a conscious choice. No, I choose healing instead. And immediately her healing began to catapult forward. It was truly amazing. So that's just one example. I'll give you another example for me, but we do work on that. And it's usually towards the end of the 9-week program because it's so, although it will come up when it comes up, just getting the basics of pushing the inflammation out of the body through diet and simple lifestyle aspects is really, really important right now. So very great question. Okay, before I move on, any other questions? If you are, if anyone's on their phone or like driving or can't type, feel free to unmute yourself and just hop in if you have a question when there's a pause. I like to hear your voices too. Okay, so the way this program works, there were a couple people that had confusion last round, so I just want to make sure everyone knows this is a 9-week program. I think I made that more clear on the information page before you signed up, but this is a 9-week program. To unmute yourself, Patty, on the top right corner of your screen. Actually, no, on the bottom left corner of your screen, there's a button that says mute or unmute. There's a little microphone. So that's how you can mute or unmute yourself. Yeah, thank you for asking that, because I will sometimes ask you to mute or unmute yourself. So this is a 9-week program for those of you who are in Have It All. I know a couple of people have signed up for one-on-one VIP coaching as well, but for those of you in the Have It All program, it is 9 weeks that you have the Kajabi Student Center, which you all got an email with access to. There's also a link to it in the announcements in case you need a handy link and you don't want to go back to your email. That will walk you through, we basically have 8 weeks of courses, right? And again, the videos are pretty short. Some of you may or may not have watched them already. They're pretty short, and we will, for the most part, go week by week. You may watch all of the videos at once. That's totally fine, but I recommend that you kind of go week by week at swapping out the foods depending on where you are. I know there's someone in here who's like, she's eating really, really clean, but then there may be smaller areas where inflammatory foods are coming in. So you can watch the videos and apply what actually does apply to you. But I want to remind you one thing. We are going to become renegade researchers. And those of you who have been with me for some time, you know this is a very important piece to this program. And you will learn more about the importance of swapping out even small amounts of processed sugar, small amounts of inflammatory foods. And when you totally take those out and swap them out, that is where insane amounts of magic show up in your body. Depending on your health condition, right, and where your body's at in terms of its ability to detoxify properly, it may be able to handle certain amounts of inflammation. But as a group, the goal is to get to a point where we're swapping all of these inflammatory foods out, and you can begin to see what your body is capable as the inflammation melts from it. So if you ever have any questions, is this food inflammatory? I need a swap for coconut cream pie, someone asked, or a chocolate bar, or I don't know how to get my protein in. Like, just use the Facebook group. Make sure you tag me, and I'm there. I think you guys, everyone who's in the group is would probably agree. I'm pretty quick at getting back to you, except for on the weekends. And even then, I try to stay away from you all on the weekends to have my own time. But I love you so much. You'll see me pop in quite a bit. And so with the Kajabi Student Center, right? It's 8 weeks long. Week 9 is a whole bunch of bonus classes for you. There's a class on autoimmune and crisis symptoms. Ooh,
sorry.
Back. Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was me. There's a video on autoimmune and crisis symptoms and how to heal those through diet, which is, there's a more nuanced approach to the way you eat. If you have autoimmune and crisis symptoms, I don't recommend going to that at the beginning. It will feel overwhelming. Wait till you've kind of got these top 6 inflammatory foods, and then we'll look at that video. There's a class on the clean eating kit. If any grandparents or parents are here and they really want to help their kids hop on the clean eating kit. I know Joyce is like, yes, she's got some grandparents or some grandkids living with her. I really recommend checking that out and then following up with any questions you may have either during their coaching calls or on Facebook. All of the guest presenters that we have had in the past for the last 3 coaching sessions, all of their workshops are also uploaded onto week 9. We have an environmental toxin specialist. We have Ryan Lee, who's one of the biggest online health kind of gurus out there, came on and talked to us about creating clear boundaries and how that and diet helped to completely heal his autoimmune condition. We have Sarah Nannon of Grief Unveiled, who just did one, and our last coaching session talks about how to move through grief, both of losing someone and also losing the body we once had, and how we begin to love the body we have now. There's so many amazing guest presenters. So in your spare time, if you're going, driving, commuting in the car, on the train, feel free to hop on and listen to those. They're really powerful. And then I also have some bonus classes on how to travel and maintain, hi Nancy's husband, how to maintain anti-inflammatory eating when you're on the road, which is a really nice class. And we'll talk about that more as well during the Facebook group, or if you have question and answers. But there's just some nice tips in there. I think some people are leaving for Mexico in a couple days, and someone might be down in Mexico right now or spring break somewhere. So you can check those out as well. That is the Kajabi Student Center. There are amazing recipes in the Facebook group. And so I actually want to show you a quick screenshot. I've never done this before, but I thought it would be helpful. In the Facebook group, there are some really great recipes. Oh, my internet. Let's see if it's going to let me. I live in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and sometimes my internet is not so kind to me, but I think it's going to work. There's a search box, if you don't know, inside our Have It All. And so I'm going to screen share here. Share my desktop. You guys can see, don't look at the background, lots of crazy stuff. Okay, so hopefully you can you all see my screen? Give me a thumbs up if you can see my desktop. Okay, cool. So right here, if you can see my cursor where it says search box, you can type in recipe, I believe. And we have all kinds of food swaps, all kinds of recipes. Yeah, here we go. So all the recipes from my book have been uploaded. And so you'll see Fatima, you can also Google her, Fatima, she was my intern the last session. She uploaded all these. So we've got tons of recipes from my book that are in here. And so if you're like, oh, I just want, can you make lasagna? I'll tag you, but you can also Google or just in a search box, search for recipes and see all kinds of delicious recipes. And then you can also type in swap and you will see a bunch of, I believe, yes, you'll see a ton of swaps that we uploaded. So sugar swap option, instead of processed sugar, you could have this coconut sugar instead of, what is this? Oh, here's some crackers. This is mustard, like all kind. Oh, we were just talking about chocolate chips, right? We were just talking about that in the group. All kinds of different swaps. Also, you'll see I gave grocery store tours. So I walked down each of the aisles of the grocery store tour and you will be able to see all of those. Joyce is giggling at me. I think I looked a little bit crazy in those grocery store tours, but good information. So that's another thing, like loads and loads of swaps in here. And then I guess while we're here, I'm sure you probably all saw this, the announcements tab right here is kind of where you want to make sure you come back to. It has the link for all of our Zoom calls. So you can always just go down and click this right here and connect to our Zoom calls. And then it has all of our guest presenters, coaching sessions, etc. A link to your Kajabi account. We're going to talk about tracking MyFitnessPal here in a minute. The last thing I want to show you is in the Files tab. So on the left-hand side in your Files, you are going to see, excuse me, coaching calls. You'll see a 3-month anti-inflammatory meal plan that you all have access to. I made for you guys, and it teaches you how to streamline in the kitchen, how to be super efficient with your time. There's a grocery list. I don't actually love meal plans. I don't love putting you on a program. I'd rather see what kind of foods you like to eat and swap them out so that you can continue this way of living. But some people really, really like to have this accessible to them. So that's there. If you click on the coaching calls, this has from our very first coaching call, October 16, 2018, all the way through currently. It has all of our coaching calls that we've done. And a little blurb of most of them is a little blurb about what happened. Not all of them have that, but some of them do. So every time we do a coaching call within 24 hours, we will have the recording uploaded onto the files tab under coaching calls. Okay. All right, cool. The last kind of logistical thing we'll talk about is MyFitnessPal. I know someone mentioned that, excuse me, someone said like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling overwhelmed with like all the information. And we do not want to make you feel overwhelmed. We really want to help you make this easy, right? But of course, there is a little bit of information and possible overload as we're just starting out like on this call, which is why it's recorded. You can listen again if you need. But MyFitnessPal is a free account. And the reason I like it, myfitnesspal.com, is because it's free. It's an app that you can put on your phone. You can also put it on your computer, and it helps to keep you, oh, I didn't type that in right. It helps to keep you accountable. Sorry, I'm usually good at multitasking, but it helps to keep you accountable as you're journaling your food, but also it really helps us to track your data and determine what is inflaming you. So at the beginning, it's really easy if you were to say, here's the foods I'm eating, or if you were to put your journal up without tracking your data, it's really easy for me to say, here's probably what's inflaming you, because I just know inflammation in food and the body really, really well. But once you have nailed the top 6 inflammatory foods, you've really become a renegade researcher. Some of the smaller nuanced foods, and those of you who are already eating really, really clean, in particular, this may be something really great for you at the beginning, but I recommend it for everyone. There are sometimes nuanced foods that don't work well for people. I'm trying to see if Lydia is on here, but some of you I've already talked to, even Patty, like when we last spoke, we talked about grains, right? So some of you, there may be some things that if you track your food, as well as, so what you do when you're in MyFitnessPal, you go to the food tab and you enter your food, and I will, you can also Google or search in our Have It All program, the MyFitnessPal. I posted a few YouTube videos. I will bump them up again. I'll bump them up, but I posted a few YouTube videos of how you can use MyFitnessPal both on your phone and your computer. It's very intuitive, but if someone's not like as used to technology, you can have that to refer to. But basically you just enter your food, and at the bottom of the food journal, there's a little note section. You click the edit notes. Every morning what you do is you want to put your weight, and this is before you eat or drink and after you go to the bathroom. Even if you're not looking to lose weight, this is not necessarily about looking to lose weight. We're not tracking like, ooh, yes, you lost 15 pounds. Excuse me, my goodness. It's more about if you've ever gained 3 pounds overnight. Has anyone ever done that? Like, oh my goodness, I just gained 3 pounds overnight. It's inflammation that's showing up on the scale. And so we can look at that along with your symptoms, your water intake, sleep, because if you don't have enough sleep, it impacts inflammation, stress, and even exercise, especially if you're a big exercise person or if you never ever exercise and you go and exercise. But these are the data points that if you journal them, and in the note section, I just might be like, had a headache today, ouch, right? That really hurt. My water intake, I drank 120 ounces. My sleep, 6 hours, it was okay, or 4 hours, it was terrible, or 10 hours, it was great. Stress, low, maybe on a scale of 1 to 2, it was a 10. And exercise, none. Like, it's super simple, right? This doesn't have to take a long time. That way, if you feel like you're getting stuck, right? You're not sure what's going on with your body. If you've done that, I can say, take a screenshot of your journal. You post it into the group and for the last week, and I will go through, I'll look at your data, I'll look at your symptoms, your foods, and I'm trained to cross-reference those data points with the foods you're eating and help figure out what's inflaming you on an individual basis. Now, those of you who are my VIP coaches or clients, I'm looking at you every week and I'm going into your journal. Those of you in the 9-week program, you can do this on your own as well. You'll start to see patterns. You'll start to be like, ooh, my symptoms are going up, my weight's going up. That typically means something inflamed you. Often it's the day before, sometimes it's 2 days. Everyone's a little bit different, which is why it's good to have someone like me to help you figure that out as you're going through this program. So that is the benefit. Completely ignore the calories, completely ignore everything in here. We'll be looking at one macronutrient category to begin with, and that is protein. You guys will get to that in a little bit. Don't worry about it now. For now, it's just about tracking your foods to see what kind of foods you're eating, okay? If you are if you're a VIP client, then we go into macronutrients and caloric intake a little bit more. And once you've gone through and dialed in these top 6 inflammatory foods, if there's still time in the program, I can help you dial in some of your macronutrients as well, but we're not going to start off there. It's just not necessary. It's more overwhelming, and you will get just the same amazing benefit by going through these top 6 inflammatory foods. Okay, that is the logistics. So now I'm going to move on to the fun stuff, but first, stop share. Let me know. Okay, so I see a few questions. So Irene says, do dairy and gluten absolutely have to go completely? You're so cute. Right now, we're just going to focus on water this week. So in your journal, you guys all have, or in your Kajabi Student Center, you all have a little bit of a homework assignment. It's a stick figure. You're going to watch this video and probably see how inflammation is impacting you in more ways than you realize. It's really important that everyone does this stick figure, because at the end of the class, it is so cool. You all who've been in this program, you can attest to this, to see how much you've improved. And so often we forget where we started. So that's very important. And then we are also focusing on water intake. Once you do that and you've nailed the water intake and the homework, you can jump to week 2, which is looking at processed sugar. We're not going to get to gluten or dairy for a little while. So right now, Irene, my suggestion is to keep eating dairy and gluten however you are, and really focus on becoming a renegade researcher with processed sugar, getting the water, doing the stick figure. Here's the deal, you guys. We don't want to go all in and take all of the top 6 inflammatory foods out at once, because it will feel totally overwhelming. Just like Irene, I already feel like, oh, I don't want to do that, right? It can feel so overwhelming. We can feel so deprived. And so we might be able to white knuckle it for a week or 2, but it's so much more likely that we fall off the wagon. My goal is not that you guys are in a program. It's not that you are doing this 9-week cleanse, a 9-week diet. That is not the purpose of this program. The purpose of this program is to help you learn how to melt inflammation from your body, reverse chronic symptoms, and learn how to maintain that way of eating for your lifetime, so that it tastes good, it tastes yummy, and you feel great. Okay, so we're just going to take one baby step at a time. It's really important. Irene, if you have any more questions, just say you have another question, and I will unmute you so I can hear your lovely voice. And then, okay, so Irene says, do we need to share MyFitnessPal information with you? No, I'll just have you screenshot the information. You guys are not posting every week. It's mostly for you. But if you get stuck, if you feel like you're getting to a point where you have questions, or you can't figure out where the inflammation is coming from, or why your symptoms are like not improving, you've come to a stalemate, right? Then it's important to post your journal. So we're not posting them every week. And then Patty says, how does inflammation show up on the scale? So inflammation shows up because it makes us kind of retain our body or retain water weight. The inflammation makes it so that we can't process that very well. So it will, when I went on vacation, you guys who are new, I was in Roatan, Honduras for 2 weeks. And I had 4 cocktails, which you guys will learn. Alcohol is quite inflammatory. And I never have cocktails. I have like 2 glasses of wine a year. And that is pretty much all I have because my body doesn't feel great when I do it. So I had those. I had chips and salsa like 6 different times, 2 homemade pastas. And I felt great, which is why I allowed myself to do it. But I gained 7 pounds of inflammation. When I came home, within the first week, which was almost been this last week, I lost 6.5 pounds, right? And that was just in 1 week really quickly knowing to get that inflammation off. If we don't get it off and it stays on us for a long period of time, which especially happens if, it happens for everyone. If you're not eating well, then the inflammatory foods will stay, the inflammation from the foods will stay on. If you have chronic stress, the inflammation from the stress will stick on. And also if you have neurotoxins, like I had Lyme and parasites, I'll tell you my story in a minute, but they were so severe. They put holes in my organs, they ate away my endocrine glands. I went into organ failure. I was in bed rest for 2 years. Those kind of constant neurotoxins pouring in the body, all of that type of inflammation, right? If it stays on and you don't get it off, will often turn into fat. It turns into, your body creates fat reservoirs to push the toxins away from the organs as a survival mechanism. It's really interesting. Now there's some people whose body is not programmed to do that, and it will go directly to their organs, directly to the joints, and you'll find that those people often get sicker earlier on in life if there is a lot of built up chronic inflammation in their body. That's probably more than you wanted to know, Patty, but there's a little science experiment. Anyone have any questions before we go on? I'm going to grab a quick glass of water. If you have any questions, unmute yourself. 1 second here. I'm almost always prepared with water, but I've got a frog in my throat. Sorry. I should be the one reminding you all to bring your water bottles, not the other way around. Sorry. So any other questions about this so far, the details, logistics? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I want to share with you all a very strong, a very important piece of work for us to do while you're listening to this call, and to kind of be journaling about the next few days, the next week. And I would love for everyone to post this in the Facebook group so that I can see it, so we can all declare an intention to one another. So I was very, very sick for a number of years. About 6.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme that had been in me for 20 years and I didn't know it. It was in my spinal cord, it was in my brainstem, but more importantly, there were parasites. I've traveled the world all over, adventure travel, like trekking through Thailand, safari in Africa, fly fishing down in the Amazon with my dad. I've done all kinds of stuff. And never in a million years did I think, ooh, be careful, you might get parasites. Like, honestly, they're so not on my radar. But once you get international parasites in particular, or if you have parasites, if your body is compromised, or if your immune system is compromised, you could pick up the parasites that, we all have parasites, but the parasites that your body is used to having could impact you more so. And what happens is that when parasites die, they release neurotoxins, viruses, bacteria, and they also are accompanied by fungus, like a candida type of fungus. And so what happened to me was I started picking these parasites up at a very young age, early teenager years, didn't know it. Once you get international parasites your body isn't used to, it doesn't actually recognize it as an invader because it's not used to it. It doesn't know what's going on. And you become a magnet. It's unlike like a virus or bacteria where sometimes you become more immune to getting that virus or bacteria. It's the opposite with parasites. So if you have parasites, you can pick them up really, really easily. So here I am starting at the like young age of 14 or 15, picking up parasites all through my teenage 20s and early 30s years. I had picked up parasites all around the world. I had hundreds of different species in my body, tens of thousands, maybe even millions, like so many. It was a sci-fi movie, you guys. When I found out that I had them and I started to kill them, the next day I had hundreds of them like leaving my body. And if you want to ever like jump out of the skin in your body, and like, I've never wanted to leave my body so badly in my life, but you can't do that. I tried. It doesn't work. And so the scary part though is that I knew nothing about Lyme. I knew nothing about parasites. I knew nothing about neurotoxins. And because these parasites had put holes in my organs, they'd eaten away my endocrine glands. When the neurotoxins were released from the die-off, it was like drinking gallons and gallons of bleach. And I started to go into organ failure. I didn't know what was happening. It's really difficult to get an accurate diagnosis, especially with parasites, but also with Lyme. And it took me about 1.5 years, 2 years to get an accurate diagnosis and to have a doctor that could actually help me detox in a way that supports me. I had a gene, which I'm sure you guys will get to talking about, and some of you already, and who are in my 6-month continuation already know. It's called MTHFR. It's common in about 40% of the population, and it makes it really difficult to detox. So we'll probably be helping you figure that out along this journey as well. Because there are things you can do to support your body and upregulate the detox pathway so you can process toxins accurately. Needless to say, I was bedridden. I went from being a Division I ski racer. I used to run marathons, climb mountains. I was an athlete, a mom of 2 very young children. My daughter was 1, my son was 4. And I wasn't able to drive. I actually got in a car accident because often die-off would hit really quickly, meaning I would pass out within minutes, like a couple minutes to 30 minutes, because it was literally like drinking poison. All of a sudden your body would just shut down. And so I couldn't drive. I couldn't bring my kids to sports. I couldn't do homework. Often I could think of words, but the nervous system was so impacted I couldn't speak. My legs became paralyzed sometimes. Talking about all this just made me, sorry, emotions just came up. It was really scary, right? And as uncomfortable as those symptoms were, the absolute worst part was not being a mom, not being a wife, a friend, having my day-to-day life of just wanting to live and be social and go for a run or a hike or keep doing my business. I had to completely stop doing my business for 2 years. Like everything came to a halt. Everything. I was the ripe young age of, I don't know, like 32 or something, and it all stopped. And I thought my life was over. Like I really, truly thought my life was over. I thought that this grand life that I had envisioned for myself was done, and that the world felt hopeless. I would never be able to fully heal. One parasite can lay 10,000 eggs in one day. So if I've picked up hundreds of different parasites from around the world, you can do the odds. It's not very good. Lyme and parasites go into, they have film that protects you from antibiotics. I'm not going to go into it. If you have Lyme or parasites, we can have conversations about it. But it's very difficult to die. And then I also ended up, when the parasites died, they released a virus, a very rare virus, directly linked to one of the types of parasites I have called HTLV2, which causes leukemia. And luckily I didn't have leukemia. It didn't get that far because we were able to check it through my hair DNA. And do a lot of work around healing that. But my body was under siege, you guys. It was scary. And so, but I want all of you to get really, actually, let me back up. There was a lot of different amazing practitioners I worked with, different healing modalities, different biohacking. We're going to have a biohacking expert come on and talk to you guys because it's really interesting, super fascinating, super beneficial. She's one of the guest presenters, but I did a lot of different things to support my body. Upregulate the detox pathways was a huge piece of it, support the immune system. But had I not had the ability to maintain anti-inflammatory eating, not do it for a 9-week program, not to do it for 6 months, not the whole 30, not for 30 days, to maintain it for years and years, even when I was in such a stressful and sad and depressed state, which is so often when we want to eat inflammatory foods to comfort ourselves, right? Like I had really learned how to follow anti-inflammatory eating as a lifestyle for my life. And that's what saved me. That was like when I was operating off of 1% of life, like in bed, just drool coming down my mouth, couldn't move, I had to army crawl to the bathroom, could do nothing, but I was still breathing, barely conscious for 2.5 weeks one time. It was that I was drinking water, and if I ate, it was clean. Like if I had eaten an inflammatory bread or a roll or a muffin or a cookie or not drink enough water, I would not be here today. And that is why I am so passionate about helping you guys, because it's not just about healing the symptoms now, it's about helping you have a life where you don't have to go through that. You don't have, right? We're going to help prevent with preventative care as well as it is feeling good now. You're doing 2 things for yourself. And as awful as those symptoms sound, the very worst thing for me was the mental piece. Thinking that like this career that I'd always dreamed of helping all of you, it would never happen. Thinking that I wouldn't be able to go ski with my kids or play with them. And that was my why. That is my why in maintaining this way of eating. And so today on this call, I want you all to think about what is your why, so that when you are at a party, and we'll help you with the logistics of going to a party and how you maneuver through the social pieces and the temptations. But when you are at a party and someone says, here, have this cocktail or have this birthday cake or whatever, that before you say yes, you go back to your why and you make sure that that's the choice you want to make. Okay, you guys, it's not about following a program. It's not about a cleanse or a diet. I've said this a million times and I'm going to keep saying it. This is about giving you your day-to-day life back, that your chronic symptoms are impacting you. This is about moving you into a state of vibrant living and vitality. You want to go climb Machu Picchu? My mom had Lyme disease as well for 20 years. She's the one that 10, 11 years back first worked with the anti-inflammatory health coach, had all this healing, introduced me to this work. And she lost 70 pounds. And this woman who at one point in time could barely walk for 10 minutes at a day, climbed Machu Picchu a couple years ago. Like the beautiful age of 66, I think. So again, yes, it's about making our symptoms going away. That's going to happen. If you follow this, it happens. It's science. It's what we do. It's the success that works when you follow this equation. But I want you to find your bigger why. Okay? And I want you to share it in the Facebook group so that you are creating an intention for yourself. You're creating an intention that you're sharing with everyone. And those of you who are new, oh, I might cry again because I love you all so much. Those of you who are new are going to experience the incredible gift our community, the participants, give you inside Have It All. And this is not me. I am just so blessed and so lucky to have everyone who's in here, because all of you make up the most incredible, supportive, loving, amazing community. You hold each other accountable. You hold space for each other. We're not perfect. We're human. We're going to mess up sometimes, and you cheer each other on. And that is gold. That is absolute gold. So as you share your why, take some time, be thoughtful about it, share it so we can all hold space for you and accountability and love and support to be in that place. Sound good? Awesome. Beautiful. Okay, and then I want to share now that you understand the extent of what I went through. I am still healing. The Lyme has been gone for 9 months. The parasites have been gone for 9 months. I keep getting checked, knocked on wood, because sometimes they can hide and come back. But the heals and like my organs have healed. Everything is regenerated. I am feeling so amazing. Yet there's still neurotoxins. Over the course of 2 years, I gained 70 pounds because of this like massive flooding of neurotoxins that went into my body that I couldn't process. And so my body created those fat reservoirs to keep them as far away from my organs. And that's a huge piece of what kept me alive. So I'm very grateful to that. But there was a very big piece, and this is like a whole separate call that we can talk about, but a really big piece of coming as an athlete, experiencing the loss of being able to move my body and then gain all that weight. I absolutely hated my body. Like, I hated it. And so when we talk about mindset and mindfulness, a piece of that is learning to love our body and to create, not in like a, oh, learn to love your body, like that kind of generic statement, but really it's about forming a new relationship with our body for where it's at now and giving so much gratitude and appreciation for all it's done. Sorry, you guys, I was not planning on crying this much today. Because our body is like a loyal dog that's our pet, that no matter how many times we kick it, no matter how many times we say mean things to it, we say you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, like, I want to go climb this mountain and you won't let me, I'm gaining all this weight, how could you do this to me? All these things that we tell ourselves. And it's pretty interesting when we really begin to observe what we tell ourselves, right? How we're not good enough, our body's not good enough. No matter how many times we do that, our body keeps showing up for us and it keeps us alive no matter all the things we do to it, all the things we say to it. It keeps saying, oh, I'm going to do the best I can for you so that you can have those breaths with your kids, so that you can live and enjoy your retirement, whatever it may be. And so when I talk about mindset and mindfulness, a piece of that is to begin to observe our thoughts so that we can love and be grateful for our body where it's at right now. And that doesn't mean that we're saying it has to stay this way. We just say thank you. During this course, it is very likely that some of your subconscious thoughts, which you have experienced and maybe weren't even aware of, hence subconscious, will come up because all of us are raising our awareness together. Part of that happens when you get inflammation and toxins out of your body, and part of that's going to be happening because of the coaching that you're going to be receiving. I want to share with you, I've been studying mindfulness, mindset, limiting beliefs, belief work, all of this, energy work to some degree, I guess you might call it. I've been studying all of this for the last 8 years. I've been to India 3 times and taken many, many courses here with an organization called the O&O Academy. It's where Tony Robbins goes and like does his work, right? So it's this very potent place. And actually, I cannot believe it. This is a side note, but one of the main instructors there, who is like, it's like getting Tony Robbins, but it's like getting the person who Tony Robbins learns from. He actually contacted me and wants to do a course for us. I'm going to do it for like all 6,000, 8,500 people, like the whole tribe, everyone on my mailing list, and any of your friends are welcome. Like the more people, the merrier, but it is such an incredible gift. I'm like still pinching myself. I can't believe this is happening. It's going to happen, I think, in 2 weeks. I'll post in the Facebook group soon, but I'm just amazed. And at one of the courses here, he'll be coming to us live from India. One of the courses that they offer in the country is called Beautiful State Course. It's a 2-day course, I believe. And I took one of them this past fall. And during the course, they walk you through different meditations and teachings. And it's not at all, it's open to all religions, all denominations, or not religious or whatever. It's not a religious thing at all, right? It's just really about seeing your subconscious thoughts and teachings and helping you go through meditations to see this. And so I did one of these meditations, and that is where I had this extremely vivid experience of what had happened to me at a very young age. My dad, who I'm very close with and love him to death, but I was about 6 or 7 years old. I grew up in a tiny little log cabin that was taken off the elk refuge in Jackson Hole. And I was standing in front of the wood fireplace in my pajamas. I'm a single only child. My parents and I were watching National Geographic, and my dad looked over and he said, "Is that your gut hanging out?" And he kind of said it like jokingly and playful, but it was this moment, you guys, we all have these moments in life where we're at a young age. Everything is perfect. We feel freedom. We experience joy. There's no judgment about if we're good, if we're bad, if we're doing things right or not. We just feel freedom. And then there's this exact moment in life. Sometimes it happens from TV or a commercial or something someone says or something that happens in life where we begin to suddenly judge ourselves and question ourselves. And in this teaching and in this process, this meditation, I was able to see that exact moment, which I was not aware of before. And from that experience in my meditation, I saw how at all these monumental moments in life, from elementary school to middle school, high school, college, and then when I was married, then when I had kids, and when I got sick. So these 7 kind of milestones. Everything that happened to me on an outside level. So I felt like I was really unpopular and didn't have friends in elementary and middle school. And then in high school, all of a sudden, and I was really chubby as a kid. And then in high school, I lost all this weight and I became a great athlete. And I would like get second place at all these races, but I rarely got first, right? So when I was in elementary school, because I didn't have friends, I blame it on my body. If I wasn't smart in school, I blame it on my body. If I didn't get first place instead of second place, I blame it on my body. Same thing in college. Like it was like all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm at parties, I'm partying, and I want to ski for Division I level, and I want to get really good at school. And if I wasn't getting all of those just right, it was my body's fault. That's why. And then when I became a mom and I gained all this weight and it didn't go off quickly like my friends, it was my body's fault. And then when I got sick and I thought I was doing everything right, I mean, talk about putting the middle finger up in my body. Talk about the most extreme level of shame and hatred I've ever experienced in my life was all towards my body. And that was causing me illness. It is possible my body was at such a low vibration because of all that hatred and constant negative thoughts that maybe I would have been able to fight off the Lyme and the parasites. Maybe I would have had such a stronger immune system. And I don't know, right? But low vibration is what parasites and Lyme and dis-ease in the body thrive off of. And when we're constantly telling ourselves we're not good enough, when we're constantly saying our body's not good enough, that is about as low and hatred and shame, that is about as low vibration as it gets. So as soon as I saw all of this, and then immediately after seeing all these different benchmarks, I had this image of a dog, like a pet. It wasn't my pet, but it was a dog. And the dog came up to me and it said just what I told all of you a minute ago. No matter how many times you kick me, you say mean things to me, no matter how many times you knock me down, I love you and I will always be here for you. I will always do my best to show up and to help you heal. And immediately I had a shift. This is the mindset. I immediately had a shift and saw all these subconscious thoughts. Some of them were conscious about hating my body, but a lot of them were subconscious. That happens so quick, but they're so frequently, but they're so quick, you don't really realize them, right? We're not sitting here and dwelling on it. But it had happened for 30, however many years, 34 years in a row. And as soon as I saw that, and immediately I felt lighter. I don't know how to describe it, but inside my body felt like so much space. And I walked up to the instructor afterwards and I said, I don't know what's happening. Something is happening in my body. I'm having some huge healing. So I went home, and for the first time in years and years and years, I was able to, for 10 days in a row, exercise. Then I had energy to play with my kids outside, to go to a movie at night, to do play dates, to like hang out. I had to stay up late at night and watch movies with my husband for 10 days in a row. You guys, before I would exercise 2 or 3 days in a row and I'd be knocked down for a week. And if I did that, I certainly didn't have energy for my kids to have a play date or go to a movie or stay up late. I was still recovering from so many neurotoxins that my body was still really vulnerable. And so I called this practitioner that I work with, a medical intuitive. Actually, we brought her on in this last session, Kathy Chandler. You guys can check her out. She'd been working with me for the whole time I've been in this process, helped me. She actually is the one that helped me figure out I had parasites to begin with, and then to kill them, and then I saw them come out. So she actually can scan your body. I know it sounds crazy, and it was really hard for me to wrap my mind around. It still is, but she would scan my body, see what was going on. She could see what was going on at a cellular level, tissues inside me. She could actually see the parasites. And through vibrational frequency, she actually was able to kill a bunch of the parasites, and I saw them come out the next day. So proof is in the pudding, right? And I called her and I said, I don't know what's going on with my body, but I feel the best I've felt. In the last 10 days, I've been able to do all this. And I went to this meditation and I had this like conscious thought. I saw these thoughts I've been having, and I was able to choose my body. I felt so much love and gratitude for my body, the most authentic love and gratitude I've ever experienced once I saw what had happened and saw how my body has kept me alive. And now it feels like I just have so much energy. And she said, Jenny, I've never seen this in all the 40 years that I've been doing this work, but the autoimmune in your body is gone. And she said, that's why you have so much energy, because before your body was having all the extra energy that would normally allow you to exercise or play with your kids or whatever, was constantly cycling back to go into healing, supporting the body. And she said, you don't need that anymore. It's gone. Like, you have this extra energy that you can play with. And this, some of you, I don't know you very well, and I can't believe I'm telling you this story to some of you who I don't all know, because this can sound a bit woo-woo. But again, proof is in the pudding. I'm a huge believer in you guys listening to your body, and you'll hear me talk a lot about this, how to make connections to your body and how you're healing, what your body says to you. It is individualized, right? And this is what my body was saying to me. So Nancy, when you ask about mindset, such a big piece of it is seeing our thoughts, recognizing how they're impacting us, and choosing. I made a conscious choice that day to fall back in love with my body. Still overweight, still like not the athlete that I want to be, still wanting to lose the weight. That's okay. Like, I fell in love with my body where it is now. And actually someone made a comment about my body, that it's still not fit where it should be, where it should be. You guys will learn I don't believe in the word should either. A couple months back, and it would have absolutely killed me in the past. Like, I would have been crawled up in a bed, like hidden under the covers, like crying my eyes out for weeks and months and months. And you know what happened? I defended myself, and I felt so good, because I was like, no, my body is my best friend. It's the most incredible thing in the world. You can say whatever you want, but it just falls flat. Because I truly love my body. I authentically have so much gratitude that it has saved my life. Does that mean that I'm not going to like lose weight and also like continue my transformation? No. In fact, that's like this spring, I'm like, okay, I feel good enough. I'm going to sign up for exercise classes, and like, I'm going to do all this, and I can take it to the next level. That's so exciting. But it's not about if we lose 10 pounds, if we gain 10 pounds, you guys, it's not about the number on the scale or the size of pants that we wear. We're not going to gain happiness, even with our body, when our pain goes away, unless we learn how to create a new relationship with our body. So we will talk more about this in the coming weeks. I definitely went a little bit further than I thought I was going to, but that's just what happens sometimes. And it's very important. So going back to all of this, what is your why, right? Like, what is my why? Our whys change. Why was I, when I was super, super sick, why was I following anti-inflammatory eating? I was following it to stay alive. Like, bottom line, to stay alive, end of story. Why do I follow it now? I follow it now because I love my body so much. I'm so appreciative for what it's done for me. I want to support it. I want my body to know that you've got my back and I've got your back. I'm doing all the things to help you heal. And you guys, our body wants to heal. Our body, it is engineered, it is programmed to heal. But we as humans put all of these obstacles, these limiting beliefs, we put toxins and processed food and toxic food, and we don't drink enough water, and we do all this stuff to it. We put up so many obstacles to make it really difficult to heal. And so my goal is to do everything for my body so that it can do what it needs, and to trust it is doing what it needs to heal, without me being like, hey, you guys will see, I don't believe in counting calories. We're not counting calories in this program, but like so many people are like, I only ate 500 calories in the last week and I haven't lost weight. And what's wrong with you, body? Right? Like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're going to trust everything we're doing here is absolutely in the service of healing and supporting your healing, supporting your body in the most beautiful and magical ways. And we're really going to begin to create a new relationship of trust and love and appreciation with our bodies. So, okay, I'm going to, if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them in, and I'm going to see. Irene says, what tests are your doctors using to check for Lyme? Yeah, there's a lot of different tests. The problem with the traditional Western medicine test, and you may or may not know this, is that the Western blot, which is a traditional Western medicine test for Lyme, and I don't know the exact number, but I think there's over 30 strains of Lyme, I believe, and the Western blot tests like 7 of them. So if you have one of those 7 strains, that's great, but most people don't. I had so many false negatives trying to get tested. The way that I was accurately diagnosed was to go to a doctor who tests live blood. And not only just live blood, but a doctor who knows how to, it's called crush the live blood cells, so that you can see Lyme, especially if it's dormant, will hide inside the red blood cell. That's why we get an autoimmune condition from the Lyme, is because the body then begins to attack the red blood cell because this Lyme is hiding inside it. But if you're tested at traditional methods of, like I said, the Western blot, or even if you don't crush your red blood cells and they're hiding in the red blood cells, you can't see them. And then also quantum neurology, which is a scientific method of muscle testing. Like, I muscle test at home, but quantum neurology is someone who's really trained in the science of it. Has been very accurate for me and my clients, and then also medical intuitive. So you guys, this is, I'm a person that's very rooted in science, but I'm also very open to energy medicine, because I have found that is also science, quantum physics. Okay. And so I typically will do both. Had it not been me working for medical intuitive people, I knew that I had Lyme and parasites before I found an actual quote unquote qualified MD doctor officially diagnosed me. And thankfully, I was able to figure that out due to the medical intuitive and the quantum neurology, the energy people, professionals in the energy world. But I also very much wanted to be verified by an MD doctor. And it took me almost 2 years to find someone. When I found a Dr. Jose Calzada out of down in Mexico, who had trained all over the world. Every year he goes to a different place around the world. And he trained in Germany, which Germany, you guys, is the most cutting edge, new age science country in terms of health in the entire world and medicine. And they're very into vibrational frequency healing. It is the next place where even the US, that is where medicine is moving towards. But this Dr. Jose Calzada, I showed him a picture of the parasite that had come out of me, one of them. I had hundreds, but I showed one that had really, when it came out, I had 10 to 15 minutes to be at a place where I could lie down or I was going to pass out. The neurotoxins were that severe. And I showed it to him, and I talked on the phone with the doctor for infectious disease and parasites for the White House. Like, he did all these tests and he still couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And finally, when I showed this doctor the picture, he said, have you been to Africa and South America? And I just started bawling. I was like, oh yes. He's like, that's where that parasite's from. And I was like, finally. it's not just me trying to like believe in energy medicine or something like that. Finally, the doctor is also saying yes. And then he did the live blood analysis, and then we saw the Lyme swimming around. So it was a journey. And part of what I help people with is to make that journey much quicker. If we do think that there's Lyme or something, I can help like connect you with different people, so that I really hope no one has to go on the same type of journey I did, trying to figure out how to have an accurate diagnosis. I have had so far 100% success rate in identifying when my clients do have some sort of neurotoxin. And typically that's Lyme or parasites, candida, fungus, because the detox, when you get your food to a certain level and you're super consistent with this, which going back to journaling, this is why it's really beneficial. I can begin to see your symptoms that you're experiencing with the foods you're eating. And I can say that's not from just the inflammation that be coming from food or basic lifestyle. There's a neurotoxin. There's something else in there that's really causing this detox. So we need to look at it. We need to find a doctor that can help verify that. And get you on the right protocol and supplements. And then also, like I said, we're going to be talking about biohacking, which was a big piece of helping me heal. We'll be talking about that during that program with Leah Carver, who's an international best-selling author and really amazing practitioner. So I'm excited for that. Okay, so that, Irene, is my long answer to your short question. Who can help me reach the point of awareness and forgiveness? Who do I look for? So Irene, we are going to, let's bring that question to this man whose name is Kumarji from India when he does that course. It was a course that was designed by him and a couple of the other people who have been running the O&O Academy for a very long time. And I will help you as well. But that is part of this program. And again, as you begin to take care of your body through this way of eating, and as we look into the nuances of our mindset and the foods that we eat, we will be delving more into this. But definitely we want to go to this course, which I can tell you all, if I bring up my calendar, when that's going to happen. He is going to talk to us on Thursday the 25th. And this is because India is 12 and a half hours difference. He is doing this at 8:30 p.m. at night, his time, which is 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, my time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So that is when that's happening. It will be recorded if you can't participate. And then if beyond that, like he will share different opportunities of like, free courses. In fact, there's a webinar series happening right now that I posted in the group that they're doing, which I can't believe it's free. They never do these webinar series like this. It's free. It's amazing. And then there's also short 2-day courses around the country that I can try to help you with. But let's see what happens in our time together, because that could be all you need. And then also Irene says, I have to drive for 3 hours and pay $600 to see the only doctor who would prescribe the right test. Okay, so Irene, let's talk a little bit more before you go and do another test. Let's go through this process. Let's give ourselves at least 6 weeks, going through the process of what we're doing, seeing how you're feeling, getting to a point where you're like your food, your lifestyle, everything is super, super clean. And then I can begin to, based off of like how I get to know your body, your symptoms, what works best for you, I can help recommend specific practitioners that I think can help you. Okay, sound good? All right, well, you all got to know me a little bit more. Does anyone have anything they want to share about themselves or any other questions before we wrap this up? I want to give a huge thank you to Miss Lisa Barnett, who's on the call. Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much. She helps a ton with technology, with just helping keeping everything in this program running and my life organized. So she may be helping you if something technology-wise happens, or for some reason I may say PM Lisa if I do. It doesn't happen very often, but just know that Lisa is here to help as well. So she if anything she says, listen to her. She knows technology way better than me. And And then you guys will all meet Lindsay next week so my calls are typically every Monday at this time at noon Eastern Standard Time. Generally speaking, Lindsay and I alternate weeks. I think there's one, maybe going to be 2 different times where she'll be 2 weeks in a row or I'll be 2 weeks in a row. But next week, I believe Lindsay is doing her first call on Tuesday, and she does that later in the evening so that those of you who are working right now have an opportunity to listen. And I believe that she's doing them at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully that helps everyone out. And like I said, all the calls are always recorded. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Lisa's really good at helping us remember to do this, but we will post for every coaching call, like typically 24 hours or sometimes 48 hours in advance, post that says coaching call Q&A, and for you to write any questions you have in the comments below. So even if you can't make the call, we will answer your question. The beauty of group coaching, you guys, is that all of you, if you show up and really ask questions and be vulnerable, be open, be transparent, like we are all in this together, and we all either been where you're at, going to where you're at, or we are where you're at, right? One or the other. And so when you really show up and ask questions, you're helping everyone in the group, because they're going to be like, oh, I didn't realize I had that question, but I totally do. So the more questions you can ask, and if you want to post them in the little post that says, you'll see it, well, it'll say Q&A coaching call, post any questions below for the coaching call. That way we can make sure we answer your questions even if you can't attend the coaching session. Sound good? All right, you guys. Well, I love you all. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you have showed up to do this work. I will leave you with this quote that you all probably know from Gandhi that says, be the change you wish to see in the world. And I always say, be the change you wish to see in your family. You guys showing up to do this work is so much bigger than you realize. I know that you all are coming here to just feel better and to melt some inflammation or not be, in the addictive processed sugar cycle, or to reverse some chronic symptoms. But I'm telling you, the work you're doing, it actually helps to heal not only you, but so many of the people around you. It's a ripple effect, and they will be inspired by you. Not because you're telling them what to do, because they're just going to see how much healing you're experiencing. They're going to see how your thoughts shift, and they're going to want to know a piece of it too. So we're all raising our vibration, and we're all helping to heal our families, the world, everything together. So I love you. Thank you guys. And have a beautiful, beautiful day. This recording will be up in 24 hours or less. Take good care. Bye-bye.